Okay, this one is round 2 on politics. And this time, like with the last video, I have stuff written down in this head doing on politics, writing stuff down, because it usually does when I'm having to write stuff down on politics and having to tie in traumatic brain injury and everything. So this is best on what I tried doing with the previous video that I didn't write notes down. Traumatic brain injury survivors that I got a little hot-headed on. Well, I wrote stuff down this time on what to tell you guys. Best advice I'd give you. Everything. Yes, it is important to be patiently involved, but don't let your emotions kick into overdrive. Don't let it kick into overload. You saw what happened in the last video with me. Don't let that happen. As traumatic brain injury survivors, we need to be smart about how we go about things, or we'll have people labeling us as not mentally stable. And trust me, that's a nice way of saying what I've dealt with in the last 20 years. Most of it is coming from lobbyists who were supposedly trying to get the real issues out. None of what I've dealt with has been from politicians. There might have been some, but that's just because they were not informed as much as they should have been. But more of it is lobbyists than politicians. I write more about lobbyists, what I've learned in the last 20 years. Okay, I already stated some of this in the previous video, but here are a list of things to do. Make a list of candidates to contact, and then when you're making a list of the candidates to contact, write down their contact info as well, which means, okay, don't write down their, like, where they live. Don't go bug them at their house. Their mailing address, yeah, you want to mail them letters, write down the phone number, write down the email, and the first two I made mention, don't do that just yet. Email is going to come first. Before you email, or if you prefer writing a letter, before you do that, write on paper what you plan to say. And if you're going to type the letter or email, before you ever do that, write it on paper. Because if you start typing it on computer, your emotions are going to get involved. I know from personal experience. And then, fortunately, I had my dad at the time to come and correct whatever needed to be corrected. And then once you've written it on paper, not only read what you say, read it aloud. And don't be in a public place. You need to be in a private place. Somewhere private. Read it aloud to yourself. If you don't want to read it aloud, just read it in your head. Think it over. And then you might make sure you write in pencil too. I've made the mistake of writing in pen. Doesn't end well with your paper. Not at all. Then once you've corrected everything, got the correct letter if you want to send, then type it in the email or type it up if you plan on mailing the letter, and then snail mail it or email it. It will take them a while to respond, like say 2-3 weeks or something. But if there's someone that knows you real well, that's been, say, someone that's been you've corresponded with frequently and everything, I'll give you an example. There was some lawmakers I corresponded with frequently when I was at Rose State. And afterwards, after I finished at Rose State, I could hear back from like in a couple of days or say the next week. Or I'd hear back from them like by phone. So it was real good correspondence. But I say at least roughly around 2 weeks later, go ahead and contact them about it, which is what I've started doing. Contact them. If they ask about it, some of them have said that, yeah, they've gotten the email, they haven't responded yet. I forgot what some of the others have said, or they haven't gotten the email. And the ones that haven't gotten the email, I make sure to send it to them like immediately. So do that. Like send it immediately if they've not gotten it. And if you know you've sent it and they say they've not gotten it, all right, I repeat, do not do this. Because as traumatic brain injury survivors, I know you're going to say, I do not do this. I do not do this. But you know somehow you are probably going to do this. If they say, oh, I sent it to you, you're probably going to mumble under your breath and they just might hear you. If you go, oh yeah, I did too send it to you. Do not do that. I've been fortunate enough not to ever say that. I might think it previously, but I definitely don't make a mistake of doing that. So just give you a heads up because I know I've done it. I know I've done it with other situations. So don't it's something you don't want to do. Trust me, you'll feel like a butt. I've done plenty of stuff where my whatever part of the brain it is, and you, without thinking about it, you just automatically say what you're thinking, and then you're like, why did I say that? Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. After all of that, or you can do it before, whatever, or you might already doing this. Contact local brain injury support groups in your area. I don't think there's one in Stillwater. I've been by Stillwater Medical Center and talked to them. I forget. I'm just like, ugh, so hectic around doing things, and with the COVID mess, I'm just like, don't want to get around people. But it's important to be in touch with local brain injury support groups. I'm in touch with the Brain Injury Alliance of Oklahoma. I know one of the board members that is at Jim Thorpe Rehabilitation Hospital, where I did rehab at. I'm in touch with Karen Bryan, because I usually send her updates on what I'm doing in Slaughter. And then I sent her updates when I was still living in Wellston. And then, finally, have you guys ever, and this is for you guys, even if you don't live in Oklahoma, have you ever heard of the Developmental Disability Council? It doesn't mean if you're in Oklahoma, or maybe you're not in Oklahoma. Have you ever heard of the council? And I ask because I'm a council member for the one in Oklahoma. And we've got some pretty cool resources available. And don't ask me if I've been using any. I've pretty much been a homebug, not doing much. I've just been working on the comics for my students that I substituted and everything. And then also helping with the Zoom calls and sharing what I've done when I was on a member of the National Youth Leadership Network governing board, or when I was on the committees and everything. That's what I did yesterday on the Zoom call. And some of the other organizations I was part of, I shared that yesterday. But they've got a bunch of resources. They've got amazing things and different things that can help you guys. So check out the Developmental Disability Council, whether you're in Oklahoma or somewhere else, because they can really help you out. So that is all for my little spill on politics. And I actually didn't badmouth anyone. Wow. Okay, so that is that one. So I will probably try to think. I'm going to try if I can work on this is the notebook that I usually write stuff on my traumatic brain injury stuff. Now I've got a notebook like this that I've worked on my comics, and actually I got two notebooks. One's a little smaller. It's got the first two comics in it, and then, or it's got first comic, part of the second comic, then a notebook this size with the rest of the second comic, and then the third and fourth, the rest and everything in it. So it's got all those notebooks over there. So I'm going to get to work on writing some stuff tomorrow after I get off, probably tomorrow after I get off work, tomorrow night, because I only work on Wednesdays. So if on Wednesdays after I get off work, and then Saturday and Sundays, I will use those days, if I think of it, to write. I will probably, depending on my energy level, start doing some live chats Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays, and I will work on getting a set time set up for everyone to be able to have put in, like, say, on their alarm on their phone, that you guys can be sure to watch. So that's what I will work on tomorrow and between the next time I do videos and everything. So I hope you guys are staying well. Bye.